Hey, good evening, and welcome to the June 23rd, 2026 special meeting of San Diego Community Powers Community Advisory Committee. My name is David Harris. I represent the City of La Mesa on this committee. I welcome members of the public, San Diego Community Power staff, and committee members joining us in person and online today. Thank you to Community Power staff for making this in-person meeting possible, and the City of San Diego for accommodating us here at our old stomping grounds. I appreciate the members' flexibility in providing their availability to make it happen. And we have quite a full committee with one absence, so that's good. I will now call the meeting to order. Clerk of the Board, Mari Hernandez, will now call the roll.
Committee Member Anderson. Committee Member Anderson. Committee Member Emerson. Committee Member Gonzalez. Committee Member Hammond. Committee Member Hitlian. Here. Committee Member Hoyt.
Here by virtual pairs. Madam Clerk, no one else is in my room.
Mr. Hoyt is participating remotely under a reasonable accommodation due to a disability. Mr. Hoyt, is there someone in the room with you of 18 years or
No.
older?
No, I'm the only one.
Thank you. Committee Member Santos. Committee Member Sclafani.
Here.
Committee Member Sumner. Committee Member Vasilakis. Secretary Pike.
Here.
Vice Chair Montero Adams.
Present.
And Chair Harris.
Here.
We have a quorum, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Let's all stand and I'll lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Ready? Begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic, a nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Chair, before you proceed, can I ask all the members to please turn on your mics when you speak? Red is off, non-red is on. Thank you.
Very good. We would also like to take a moment to respectfully acknowledge that the Kumeyaay Nation are the original inhabitants of the land now known as San Diego, where this meeting is taking place today. We carry their legacy forward, ensuring that their traditions continue to thrive in gratitude and strength, and we stand with the Kumeyaay Nation, connected to our past and committed to a more just, sustainable, and resilient future for all. Okay, joining us this evening for her very first meeting is Molly Hitlian, who was appointed by our board of directors to represent the city of Encinitas. You may have met her at the picnic we hosted last month, but please join me in giving her a warm welcome. Molly, would you like to say a few words?
Well, I'm honored to represent Community Power for Encinitas, and I applied for this role because I'm passionate about energy and efficiency, smart home technology, and environmental stewardship. So I'm eager to bring a community perspective to help strengthen program adoption and impact. And I just want to note, I was an early adopter of Community Power, while enrollment for Encinitas was automatic. I did my research and remained opted in, and I've enjoyed being a member of Community Power. Thank you.
Welcome, Molly. Okay, a warm welcome is also in order for the following Community Power staff who recently joined the organization. Moon Hua, Information Systems Manager, Ben Erth, Program Manager, and David Dang, Information Systems Analyst. Please go ahead and introduce yourselves if you'd like to. Good evening.
Good evening. Good evening. My name is Lun Hua. I'm a San Diego County resident for 35 years, and I liked here. And my job title is Information Systems Manager for Community Power. And my job responsibility is to help the agency and build a robust, world-class information ecosystem. I have 16 years of experience doing that, and I hope my experience will take the agency's information system to the next level. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Good evening. Thanks for having me. My name is Ben Aaron. I started on Monday as the new Solar Battery Savings Program Administrator. I have over 20 years of experience working in the solar industry, running programs and doing policy work. I started my career here in San Diego at SDREO. If anybody's familiar with SDREO, we turned into the California Center for Sustainable Energy and then the Center for Sustainable Energy. I find many of my former colleagues or graduates, as I like to say, at a lot of these functions and working in energy and specifically at CCP. But I started at CSE or SDREO way back in 2004, running an incentive program. I left CSE in 2020 and actually joined a residential solar installation company working as the policy director. And now I am back at SDCP running a solar and battery program. So it's kind of full circle. Anyways, thank you for having me, and I'm looking forward to learning more. Great.
Good evening, everybody. My name is David Dang. I am a San Diego native, born and raised. I was in the Marine Corps for 7 years, and in the last 6 years, I worked for Calpine Energy Solutions, and now I'm transferred over to San Diego Community Power. So my job title is IT Systems Analyst, and I'm here to help build the IT system with the Dynamics 365 CRM system. Thank you.
Welcome. Thank you. Moving on to meeting business, staff has requested to pull from the regular agenda item number 13, which is San Diego Community Power Data Center Load Integration Guidelines, which will be heard at a later meeting. And I have requested that we will also switch two items. We will hear item number 9, the proposed fiscal year 26-27 operating budget, 26-27 capital budget, and 27-31 capital investment plan before the rest of the meeting as agendized. Mari, are there any other items on the agenda to be withdrawn or reordered?
No, Mr. Chair, there are none.
No, we're going to move on to that.
No other, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Very good. Okay, next up on the agenda is non-agenda public comment. Written public comments submitted before the committee meeting are emailed to all CAC members prior to the committee meeting and will be posted on the website at the beginning of the meeting. Mari, do we have any non-agenda public comment?
Yes, Mr. Chair, we have Rob. Rob, please address the committee. You have 3 minutes.
Testing. All right. So San Diego Community Power. Appreciate everybody for showing up tonight. I know you guys, have busy lives just like I do, so it's important to have these meetings though. I'd also like to thank San Diego Community Power staff for addressing issues that I've had in this room before. And it's a very open, welcome meeting here tonight. And so I just wanted to, thank you for that. Through many of the things you guys focus on, there's a lot of things that I focus on that are just different. And so I think coming together and doing it together will turn a better product for the public. And so I appreciate being able to work with you guys to correct some of the issues that may arise. I'll give you an example. This paperwork has been going out all year, right? And to check public access as a member who's representing your constituents of your cities, right? If you were to click the link that's at the very bottom of this agenda, it's San Diego Community Power Resource backslash San Diego Community Power, but sdcommunitypower.org /resources /meeting -notes. And if you click that, it takes you nowhere. It's a 404 page, right? So I've helped the police department locally in Chula Vista advance their, early warning system to things like this. I went through and just clicked the links, but sometimes that's all it takes to double check things. And so for as long as this, I don't know, it was probably sometime last year, according to the Wayback Machine, that this link changed. So for, that period of time, this link isn't very useful, and so I think it's only fair that I tell you these things and raise them to your concern so maybe they can get adjusted. They're very minor. Here's another one with the public comment form. There's actually 3 positions, right? There's support, there's oppose, and then there's neutral, right? And so these things allow the public to speak for themselves without having staff interpret what they mean out of it. And the reason why I bring this up is because I've gone through the meeting minutes of different meetings, and sometimes it's very detailed into what I'm saying. And then other times when I say other things, it's not so detailed. So it'd be great to just, like I said, have my overtime.
Excuse me, Rob, your time's up.
Sorry, I couldn't see the clock.
Thank
but
you.
Thank you.
We will now move on to the consent agenda. The consent calendar contains items that can be approved as a package without discussion unless a CAC member or a member of the public requests that an item be removed for separate discussion and action. The CAC receives staff reports for all items on the consent agenda, and staff provided an opportunity for questions and comments during briefings held prior to this meeting. Today's consent agenda includes 1, approval of the April 9th, 2026 CAC meeting minutes. 2nd, update on marketing, public relations, and local government affairs. 3rd, update on customer operations. 4th, update on programs. 5th, update on power services. 6th, update on regulatory and legislative affairs. And 7th, distributed energy resources ad hoc committee report. Mari, do we have any public comment on any of these items?
Yes, Mr. Chair, we have Rob on item number 3.
On item number 3, okay. And then, should we have the public comment first? Or
3 and 7, actually.
3 and 7,
Yeah,
okay,
public comment first, and then,
okay.
yeah.
Very good,
Because this is consent, there's no presentation, right?
correct.
And just making sure, right? It's a procedural thing. I want to make sure I'm up to the information as much as you guys are. So if there is a comment, I'd love to hear it. Just a side note, I didn't hear the ask for the online comments if someone's putting up their hand. And so at a previous meeting, I was forgotten about for 2 items, and I just want to raise that concern in case someone is there raising their hand. So when I went through the consumer report of how many people are going up and down in their packages, right? And I see a consistent trend to get to the plan that I'm on, which is like the base 50/50 is what it used to be called, 55/45, whatever it is. But in that spirit of people transferring to that plan, I think it's good to have a reality check to where that energy comes from and why people are choosing that plan, right? I think there's a lot of realistic outlook to people when they think about nighttime and solar and these obstacles that renewable energy face, right? And I know we have a contract for some wind energy and other things, but I can see the water flow from the one stream to the reservoir, and then I can see the water flow from that reservoir, and then I can see it in the bill, right, for the agencies paying for it, right? The one thing I don't see is where does the energy come from, right? I understand they're in a form of credits or whatnot, but I think a lot of people have concerns, and that's why they're switching to the cheaper plan. You know, the highest plan is like what, 30 cents more to, or you know, I'm kind of spitballing, but it's more expensive to have 100% renewable. And so the public, being as, you know, the economics are right now, you know, people are more switching to this plan. Well, I think that's something notable, right? With the declaration of going 100% renewable by 2035, I think we need to reconsider that position per the market. So thank you. I don't know where my time is again, so I'm kind of just guessing right now.
You have 1 minute left on this item.
Okay, thank
So
you.
if you can go to the next one, please.
Yeah, I won't waste your guys' time. I'll go to the next item. I appreciate you guys hearing me out on this. And I like the report because it gives me a good understanding of what my neighbors' plans are switching to, and they're switching to mine. So
Thank you.
Are you speaking on item number 7 too?
That was his comment on item 7, I believe. Yeah.
You spoke on 3, right?
Oh, just 3?
And then you're speaking on 7, right, Rob?
Or did you?
Did you
just
address
comment on-
both items during your public comment?
I thought, was that just a comment on item 7?
in the beginning, whether we were doing one consent comment for all items, or if I was getting per item. Normally, it's one comment.
It's right, 1 comment per item. That's correct. So if you haven't spoken on 7, go ahead, please. We'll start the timer again for 3 minutes. Thank you.
All right, thanks for that clarification, Mari. Go ahead.
Thank you. And you know, some of this is just checks and balances, right? We want to make sure that anyone who's watching tonight knows they feel comfortable. Come in here and talk to you guys. Like, this is the whole point of this, is for the public to engage. And I'd like to say I wish more of the public would engage, but they're busy. They're working. They have families. So some of us got to pick up the slack. For this item, sorry, there's a lot of paperwork right here.
Yeah.
I know my time's kind of going down, but if I could just go off of the distribution factor, the ad hoc committees. Okay, this is where I was going with that. Just like in Chula Vista, we have our own ad hocs, and the problem with the ad hocs is it removes the public input, right? And then you guys do things, and I don't want us to say it wrong, but like outside of the public's view, right? And yes, it's convenient for members to be able to meet without telling the public about what they're doing, but I hope there is a more effort to the transparency part that I think the public is asking of agencies, right? Ad hoc or not, I think there needs to be like reports. You know, actual paper. They won't bring no paperwork from their ad hocs in Chula Vista. They'll just say, we're doing this. And I get no paperwork. And I'm like, come on, you guys. You can't write down a summary. So that's what I have to say about ad hocs. Thank you.
Thank you. Right. Is there anyone on the committee who would like to remove any item from the consent agenda for a separate discussion and vote?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Yes, Member Anderson.
Like to work here.
It's working.
I'd like to pull items 3 and 5 for a little more information on them from staff.
Okay, well, 3's been pulled, so, and then 5 is the update on power services. Mr. Emerson.
I just want to make a note in response to your last comment, because there is a written report for item 7. If you didn't see that. Okay.
Okay, in the agenda packet for clarification.
Yes.
Thank you, Larry. That's helpful for the public to know. Okay, so we have items 3 and 5 now that have been pulled. So,
I'll make a motion to adopt the rest of the consent calendar as presented.
okay.
Can you speak into the mic, please?
Make the motion to adopt the consent calendar, the remaining consent calendar items as presented.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. We have a motion and a second. Clerk, please call the roll.
Committee member Anderson?
Aye.
Please. Anderson. Committee member Emerson?
Yes.
Committee member Gonzalez? Oh, he's not here. Committee member Hammond? Aye. Committee Member Hitlian,
Would I abstain myself from item 1 because it's the meeting minutes?
You're-
And I
you don't,
wasn't
you don't
here?
have to. But you can
Okay.
if you wish.
Approve.
Committee Member Hoyt. Committee Member Hoyt, can you hear us?
Move on.
Okay, Committee Member Santos, please turn on your mic.
Aye.
Committee Member Sclafani,
Aye.
Committee Member Sumner,
Yes.
Committee Member Basalakis,
Aye.
Secretary Pike,
Aye.
Vice Chair Montero Adams,
Aye.
Chair Harris.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Okay, let's move back then to the pulled items. First, we'll do the update on customer operations. Member Anderson.
Yes. The primary purpose of San Diego Community Power is twofold. One is to provide affordable electricity to the public, and the second is to provide clean, renewable energy to the public. So I've got a couple of questions regarding whether we're making enough progress to get people up to Power 100. As the speaker said earlier, our goal is to be 100% renewable energy by 2035. And I have two questions about that. Do we have the capacity right now to provide increased Power 100 to customers? And do we have programs that are encouraging customers to achieve Power 100 at capacity?
Chair Harris, if I can take that?
Yes, please.
Thank you for the question. Great question. We do have the capacity to meet the needs of other customers on Power 100. That is our ongoing plan as we move towards 2035 as well. As mentioned, it is a voluntary product, so it is our premium product. So as you know, we've got a lot of concerns about all of our customers in terms of where they are today from an affordability standpoint, from a clean energy standpoint. So we've got multiple teams, including our programs team, our customer operations team, our public affairs team, working with our customers where they are on a day-to-day basis. So we're providing clear and transparent information, both online and in person and in every forum that we're engaged in. But typically, we're meeting those customers where they are today. So we're providing those products, programs, information, all the while trying to meet their needs, but also move to that clean energy future that we're all very serious about. So we do have the capacity, and we have a number of efforts meeting customers where they are today.
Okay, just one quick follow-up on that. The goal of having 100% renewable by 2035, that's just 9 years from now, is an ambitious goal.
Mhm.
And if we continue to simply let the public opt down or opt up, and there's no move to persuade them or to entice them up to Power 100, how are we going to be able to achieve that goal?
That's a great question. I would say that planning is everything, right? So between now and 2035, we've got some planning activities and some load forecasting activities to tie with our planning. And so that's an endeavor that we're continuing to work on. And I think as we get a little bit more clear on how we want to accomplish that while meeting the needs, the affordability needs of each of our customer segments, it'll become a lot more clear.
Hey, appreciate Jack.
Yep.
Member Emerson.
I'd like to
I'm sorry.
chime in on that discussion. And this is just something my daughter sent me, so I'm gonna just read this quote. It's verbatim. California's grid batteries, all throughout California, just shoved 12,000 megawatts into the system at once, as much power as 12 nuclear plants or 6 Hoover dams, covering 44% of the whole state at the exact hour it usually strains. So this is ongoing. We need to keep working on these kind of systems. And I'm glad to hear that we have a new staff with Ben. Eric was the last name again? That will be involved with our solar battery savings, because that all ties into moving us all forward to clean renewable energy. Thank you.
Certainly the scaling up of battery storage is a game changer to meet that ambitious goal. And most of our power projects now have storage included in the power contract. So that's really key as well. Anyone else have comments on this item? Okay, let's move on then to item number 5, the update on power services.
Do we need a vote on that first, or do you want it as separately? Or
Can we
We can do it together.
okay.
Good question. Yes, Member Anderson.
Under item 5, we learned about new power plants in, I believe it's New Mexico. And I'm in favor of that. We're going to have some industrial size capacity as well as local rooftop and local wind and such to meet our long range goals. But it appears that the power flows through a nexus in Arizona. And then it looks like it will, in the future, have a new power line that crosses Anzo Borrego Desert State Park. So the question is there an alternative when receiving this distributed energy from New Mexico and Arizona to utilizing existing lines or rerouting that line around Anzo Borrego State Park? A number of organizations I'm also affiliated with, including Sierra Club and Samuel Lawrence Foundation, is very concerned about the disruption that would cause by a massive new power line crossing Anzo Borrego. So just like an update on that.
Is there any response to?
We have Gordon Samuel on the line. I think he wants to comment.
Oh, excellent. Okay. Mr.
Yeah.
Samuel.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Thanks, Mari. Yeah, thanks for the question. Yes, we do have power coming out of the Sunzia wind farm in eastern New Mexico. That project started delivering here in about the last 30 days. We're excited about that. We do need wind in our portfolio. It does come across a line that interconnects to the Palo Verde switchyard in Arizona, which actually is a Cal ISO delivery point as well. And probably one of, if not the biggest power trading hub in the Western US. So I want to separate that project that is delivering today as we speak from your second question or statement related to a potential future line. And I think you may be referring to the Golden Pacific Power Link that is at least originating out of the Salton Sea area and eventually will terminate at a future substation north of the Songs nuclear station. That routing of that line is not been determined, except for the starting point and the end point. That is a project that the Cal ISO identified. And SDG&E is actually developing it for the Cal ISO. They're taking public comments now on what the routing of that line is. So I will say, though, the purpose of that line is to access clean energy in the form of geothermal energy. In the Salton Sea area, it has an abundant amount of untapped geothermal energy that is renewable, that is 24/7, that would help entities like Community Power meet our goals of 100% renewable by 2035. So more to come on what the final routing of that line is, but it does access an area of a resource that we need. So happy to answer any other questions you have on that.
A great answer. Quick follow-up. Briefing.
Your mic, please. You need to press it more. There we go.
During our briefing, it was stated that we would be using the new SDG&E Golden Pacific Power Line to transmit power from New Mexico and Arizona to San Diego Community Power. If that's the case, I hope we do some investigation as to whether we can have an alternative route for that line. I would like to see us either not use that line, but use other ones, or route that line around Anzo Borrego State Park, which is some very sensitive habitat, and the Sierra Club and other environmental organizations are quite concerned about. So that's my comment.
Thank you.
Okay, just sorry, Chair, just to be clear,
Yes.
the wind from New Mexico is independent of this future line that's being referenced. Okay, the wind is already happening today and will continue.
Right.
The other line, the routing of it is still TBD, and that's where their SDG&E is soliciting public comment on the routing of that line as we speak. So I hear your concern, and that's why they're going out and engaging the public on what that future route will look like.
Good, thank you.
Do any other members have comments or questions on this item? Okay,
Mr. Chair, we need to take two votes, one on number 3 and one on number 5, please.
okay,
Separate
two
votes.
separate votes,
Yes.
but we can do it consecutively. Okay.
Make a motion to approve number 3.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Pike,
And seconded?
seconded by Montero Adams. Clerk, please call the roll.
Committee Member Anderson.
Aye.
Committee Member Emerson.
Aye.
Committee Member Hammond.
Aye.
Committee Member Hitlian.
Yes.
Committee Member Hoyt.
Yes.
Committee Member Santos.
Aye.
Committee Member Sclafani.
Aye.
Committee Member Sumner.
Yes.
Committee Member Vasilakis.
Aye.
Secretary Pike.
Aye.
Vice Chair Montero Adams.
Aye.
Chair Harris.
Aye,
Motion carries.
okay.
And with that, I'll make a motion to approve number 5.
Okay, we have a motion on number 5.
And seconded?
All right, clerk, please call the roll.
Committee Member Anderson. Committee Member Emerson. Committee Member Hammond.
Aye.
Committee Member Hitlian.
Yes.
Committee Member Hoyt.
Aye.
Committee Member Santos.
Aye.
Committee Member Sclafani.
Aye.
Committee Member Sumner.
Yes.
Committee Member Vasilakis.
Aye.
Secretary Pike.
Aye.
Vice Chair Montero Adams.
Aye.
Chair Harris.
Aye,
Motion carries.
okay, so those two motions have passed, so we can now move on to the first item on our tonight's agenda after consent. This would be item 9, presentation of the draft fiscal year 26-27 operating budget, fiscal year 26-27 capital budget, and fiscal year 27-31 capital investment plan, and quarterly risk oversight committee report. Staff have a presentation.
We do, and I can kick us off.
Okay.
Again, good afternoon and good evening, CAC members. Jack Clark, your acting chief executive officer. San Diego Community Power and our fiscal year development for 2027 proposed budget is designed specifically to protect affordability while continuing to deliver reliable, cleaner energy to the communities we serve. It's not lost on us, as I mentioned earlier, that many of our customers are dealing with affordability issues currently, not only here in San Diego, but around the state. Our cities are struggling with difficult budget decisions. Inflation is forcing some businesses to weigh the cost of keeping their doors open. And many households, in fact, are having to make difficult trade-offs to face today's rising costs. In these uncertain times, we aim to approach this budget the same way our customers approach theirs, staying focused on essentials, long-term stability, and the best value for every dollar we spend. It's aimed at providing value and stability today, while again preserving our ability tomorrow to deliver choice, competitiveness, and again, cleaner energy as we march towards 100% renewable electricity by 2035. But it is also more about balancing a budget. It's about how we translate our mission into outcomes that the customers that we serve can feel, whether through competitive rates, meaningful programs, or protection from year-over-year volatility in an increasingly unpredictable energy market. So our team has developed a very data-driven, disciplined approach to our fiscal year development process. Today, we'll walk you through that. Our goal is, again, to protect customers from a volatile market. We are making targeted investments and holding ourselves accountable for those results. The bottom line, again, is that our budget reflects a disciplined approach to doing exactly what we were created to do. Put our customers first, make smart financial decisions, and deliver reliable, competitively priced, cleaner energy to all the communities we serve. So with that, I'll hand it over to Chris Do, our Senior Financial Analyst, to take us through the budget.
And Chris, before you start, I just wanted to remind our committee members that questions during presentation to clarify what's being talked about is good, but let's wait until the end of the presentation for the full discussion on the item. So, thank you, Chris. Go ahead.
Good evening, Community Advisory Committee members. For the record, my name is Chris Do, Senior Finance Analyst for San Diego Community Power. I have a privilege of presenting a portion of the budget this evening. So with this first slide, we're going to take you way back to 2019 since inception of Community Power. And through the times in the first few years of our inception, we've focused on growing our reserves in case of a downturn or a heat wave that could put us out. And since 2023 on forward, we have grown and we have built reserves, and we're a mature agency now. And we're keeping customer affordability at the top of mind. We want to, this year's focus was to create a balanced budget. We have built reserves. We want to, keep those rates down and affordable for our customers. And going into this next slide, we're going to speak a little bit to our board adopted budget cycle timeline. Every year we start in February to kick off our budget development, and staff works. Excuse me. When staff works really hard through March, April, and to give a preview and a draft budget in May. And with that, with the FRMC, the Finance Risk Management Committee, and board, we do take feedback, and we have updated that budget. And I'll get into details about that in a little bit. But now we've presented to you in June the Community Advisory Committee here. In this next slide, we have a comparison from this fiscal year to the proposed budget for comparison. So I'd like to start off at the very top. Year over year, we are anticipating a double-digit rate reduction. This impacts revenues, but this also impacts the cost of energy. You will see a large decrease in the cost of energy, but that ultimately is offset by the reduction in revenues. We do see a slight increase in non-energy costs. That's mostly due to our personnel and general administration costs being annualized for the year. We did take that back take feedback from the board to lower that for this updated budget. Next square right there is going to be showing that we have lowered our contribution to the capital investment plan. This isn't taking a commitment from the capital investment plan. We're still contributing $8 million, and all the dollars that we've committed to that capital investment plan will remain. We're just having a lower contribution this year around. And what that ultimately entails is that we have a $3.9 million net position. That's pretty low compared to our previous years. This is the most balanced budget we've ever had. This is the accumulation of considering affordable rates and keeping the lights on for ourselves. So I would like to pass this on, and we'll.
Good evening, Chair Harris, Vice Chair Montero Adams, committee members. For the record, my name is Timothy Manglamott, Senior Director of Finance and Risk for Community Power. So kind of just continuing on what Chris mentioned, fundamentally, the strategy for the agency is always to preserve customer affordability, have competitive rates to SDG&E, but we really want to make sure that community power is protected for the long run. So what you're seeing proposed in the budget today is really that strategy in play. You'll remember back in December 4, 2025, my colleague Jeb and I presented a fairly long presentation on reserves and risk. And Chair Harris, I see you nodding your head. I know it was a really long presentation. We similarly did some pretty long presentations to the board and to the FRMC recently. I promise I'm not going to do the long version of this, but one of the fundamental things we talked about back then is PCIA for community power by far and away is our biggest risk. And so to try to preserve affordability, this budget really is a strategy to try to preserve that long-term affordability for the customer and to make sure that we're around for the longer term. When you peel back some layers on what's happening, there's kind of, Chris kind of mentioned the last 4 years have been stable for community power, but just fundamentally, there's kind of just 3 different cycles that are typical for an energy provider like community power, and specific to the CCA community. What you see is a chart that's a Henry Hub kind of gas price chart over time. We use this chart to kind of correlate to how energy prices fluctuate. And there's really 3 main cycles that community power sees as a CCA. When prices go from low to high, kind of in that purple, or sorry, that yellow bar at the middle, that's when community power could really build reserves because of that dynamic that occurs with PCIA. When prices go from high to low, that's really what we see, or we call a PCI snapback, because what happens with the PCI snapback is SDG&E can fundamentally, or not fundamentally, it's thinking back to the presentation back from December, the contracts that SDG&E signed before community power existed, they signed them at, say, $50 per megawatt hour. And when prices go from high to low, that $50 per megawatt hour, they have to sell back that excess energy in the market. So that $50 per megawatt hour contract that they paid, fundamentally, they're selling that energy back to the market for $10. So when that happens, SDG&E needs to be made whole for that difference between $50 and $10. And when that happens, that's when we as an agency see that cycle of a PCA snapback. So that's kind of cycle number 2. And then cycle number 3 is that just prices just stay stable. There is no snapback that occurs. There's no reserve build that occurs. It's really just managing to a stable price. So kind of what Chris mentioned, with those revenues going down pretty precipitously, and then energy costs also going down to a lesser extent, fundamentally what we're seeing with that is the PCI snapback kind of phenomenon occurring. So just to peel back a few more layers there. So in October of 2025, the California Public Utilities Commission, they published these things called market price benchmarks that kind of forecast what they think the energy prices are going to be for this upcoming calendar year. So back in October, the CPUC thought that renewable prices would be at $62 for this current calendar year. And if you just look at the energy market today, so when Gordon, our CCO, goes to the market, he's not seeing $62 per megawatt hour for that renewable energy. He's seeing somewhere around $9 to $10 per megawatt hour for that renewable energy. So that's kind of what you see there at the top chart. And, fundamentally, when you think about that PCI snapback phenomenon, again, when prices go from high to low, that's when we're seeing SDG&E need to be made whole because of that price difference. So one of the fundamental factors that affect that PCI snapback is that renewable price going from $62 down to $10. There's a second factor here that's also in play with energy costs, like just fundamental energy. We're also similarly seeing a dip from energy from what we projected and what the CPUC projected last calendar year to what we're seeing in the open market today. And then kind of the third factor that affects the PCIA is resource adequacy. Those prices are somewhat stable, so that big third factor doesn't affect the PCA snapback as much. So all in all, what are we seeing? Whenever a PCA snapback like this occurs, fundamentally, it does mean that we do anticipate a rate reduction for the customer. In this case, the budget projects somewhere in the range of a double-digit rate reduction for the customer for SDCP customers. But when that happens in this PCA snapback phenomenon, what we see occurring also is, if you just look at that orange bar, which represents PCIA, the customer has to pay for that PCIA and SDCP factors in that PCIA into our customer discount. So because that PCA is increasing, because SDG needs to be made whole, fundamentally we're seeing less revenue for community power. So kind of that blue bar represents what community power expects to receive in calendar year 2027 from ratepayers from the load that we're procuring. So all in all, you'll see that just generally speaking, it's a double-digit rate reduction. We're being squeezed by PCIA, and then we're just collecting less revenue for what we expect to receive kind of next fiscal year. So whenever we do these projections, one of the things that we also do is a stress test just to see what might happen for community power's budget and for our rate setting that Lucas and Erin will bring to the board and to the CAC upcoming here in January. So when we look at the stress test scenario for community power, there's kind of two still real factors that could occur. Honestly, it's absolutely crazy because there's kind of just two complete opposite realities that could still occur. And fundamentally, kind of the punchline is it's way too early to tell what might happen in calendar year 2027. But what we did is we looked at a low price scenario and a high price scenario to see what are the realm of possibilities that could still occur for community power customers. So under an even lower price scenario, it's still possible that by the end of calendar year 2027, our reserves could dip as low as 156 days cash on hand. There's an equal and opposite reality kind of at the 95% level, where if prices increase, it is also possible kind of, again, when prices go from low to high, it's kind of that reserve build cycle. So there's like another 5% chance that our reserves can go all the way up to 455 days cash on hand. Fundamentally, it's a long way of me saying it's way, way, way too early to tell. But the projection in the budget assumes that we're getting a little bit closer to that stress test scenario, getting closer to that 156 days cash on hand because we're seeing prices dip a little bit lower. What we expect also is once we get through the summer, we get through kind of our biggest load summer factor. We do expect to return back to the board, to the FRMC, and to the CAC with a lot more data. Come October, we also do expect to contribute a big portion of our reserves to that rate stabilization reserve that Jeb Spangler had presented earlier. Fundamentally, that rate stabilization reserve will give rate relief for the customer, and our projection does anticipate needing to potentially access some of that rate stabilization reserve because of that PCA snapback phenomenon. So the PCA snapback isn't new. So we kind of mentioned it, I think, back when we were initially doing kind of the rate presentations back in December. Some of our CCA partners to the north have already experienced this PCA snapback. And fundamentally, we've seen two different strategies play out kind of in the Northern California CCA territory. Strategy number one is, just simply increasing rates. There are some CCAs, or there's a CCA to the north that had as high as a 31% rate premium to PG&E. And that's kind of rate strategy number one, where, in order to kind of counteract that PCA snapback, you raise your rate so you can make more money. There's a second strategy where instead of raising rates, you want to build reserves so that when a PCA snapback occurs, a CCA can absorb that PCA snapback, access those reserves, and still preserve that affordability and rate competitiveness with SDG&E or whomever the IOU is. Fundamentally, community power wants to do the reserve draw strategy, and the budget kind of takes that strategy. So all that said, what we're proposing with this budget is to grow our reserves up to that 280 days cash on hand level. The strategy is to grow it to that level, kind of brace for impact with the PCA snapback should it occur, and then use those reserves to give more affordable rates for our customers, preserve affordability, and then fundamentally, again, preserve community power for the long term from a financial perspective. And then the last thing I'll mention is we do still anticipate coming back to the board in October with a potential rate stabilization rate deferral to try to anticipate that PCA snapback. So kind of just couching it under what Chris had mentioned earlier. So he kind of presented what we're expecting in the budget. We just peel back some layers. Like this is fundamentally why we're anticipating a smaller net margin. Again, that big reduction in rates and revenue, and to a lesser extent, that reduction in energy because of what we're seeing in the market. So that's kind of the operating budget side. And with that said, I will turn it over to Will Weisman, who's going to go over the CIP. Thanks.
Afternoon. My name is Will Wiseman, Associate Director of Finance for the Capital Investment Plan. The FY27 capital budget continues to be driven in large part by externally funded programs, leveraging outside funding and grant resources to deliver on organizational priorities. The San Diego Regional Energy Network, in particular, continues to be the driving force behind the capital budget, with $63.1 million dedicated to SDREN in FY27. Standing up and supporting the SDREN is a key initiative, providing community-driven programs to deliver energy efficiency. In addition to SDREN, the FY27 capital budget continues investment in the solar battery savings program, allocating $3.5 million to support incentives for additional program participants to offset high-cost on-peak consumption through solar and battery storage. The budget also continues investment in customer pilot programs, with a combined $2.5 million to focus on additional customer segments, while continuing to focus on peak load shifting. To round out the highlights, the budget allocates $1.5 million to support the Distributed Energy Resource Management System software platform to help customers reduce usage during high-cost on-peak periods. As part of the development process, Community Power also prepares and adopts its 5-year capital investment plan. The first year of the capital investment plan reflects the FY27 proposed capital budget. As this is a capital planning tool, no appropriation is being requested beyond the first fiscal year. For FY27, the budget incorporates $63.4 million in externally funded projects and programs, along with $8 million in internal funding, for a total capital budget of $71.4 million. External funding totals over $249 million over the outlook period. External funding sources include public purpose program funds and grants which are not supported by SDCP's operating budget. The CIP includes, as Chris mentioned, the CIP includes carry forward funds appropriated in prior fiscal years for a total capital investment plan of $310.7 million over the outlook period. Carry forward amounts are subject to change and will continue to be updated as we close the current fiscal year. So just to tie the CIP and capital budget back to the appropriation being proposed for FY27, $8 million for internally funded programs is included in the operating budget. This is funded through a mix of net operating revenues for general benefit programs and non-operating investment income for programs with restricted program eligibility, such as those designed to support communities of concern. As mentioned, $63.4 million in external funding has been previously authorized for appropriation. And with that, I'll now like to turn it over to Gordon Samuel, our Chief Commercial Officer, who will go over our power services budget.
Before Gordon.
Yeah, of course.
I did have a clarifying.
Sure.
Okay. So there is the $3+ million for the solar battery savings program.
Correct.
But I saw that there was a carry forward of
Correct.
$10.8 million. So overall, the program funding isn't being reduced.
That's
It's
correct.
the fact that so much of the funds previously appropriated is available to carry over.
That's correct. So as that program is kind of implemented and ramps up, it's that kind of incremental funding strategy. So we're able to meet those kind of funding objectives over the outlook period. For the same reason, as you look at kind of that outlook, there's kind of those projected contributions in future fiscal years, just to meet that obligation as those programs are implemented. That's correct.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Mr. Samuel.
Yes. Thanks, Will. Thanks, Chair. Good evening, CAC members. Gordon Samuel, Chief Commercial Officer. I'll be speaking to this slide on the power services. As you may know, purchasing power on behalf of our customers has the single largest budget impact, well over 90%. We strive to provide cleaner, reliable, competitively priced electricity. We have and will continue to prioritize these 3 main budget items by managing risk through a diversified procurement strategies, maintaining compliance at the lowest feasible cost, and using improved forecasting and analytics. Late in 25 and early 26, the board approved several third-party agreements that we brought forward to them. One was related to our scheduling coordinator that resulted in, which will result in a reduction of over $130,000 for this fiscal year's budget. In addition, we brought on a third-party storage optimization tool. This is needed now that we're bringing on our battery storage systems, whether they're paired with a solar resource or standalone. This will provide us visibility of when to charge and when to discharge in order to bring the most value to our customers. In addition, we will start doing our own internal load forecasting. We were outsourcing that before. This is going to result in a slight increase as well. And in order to perform these functions, we do have one proposed position for the Power Services Department and a load forecast manager. And with that, I will turn it over to the operations team.
All right, thank you, Gordon. Jack Clark again, covering this first slide on operations. As you all know, the operations section ensures that community power functions effectively and efficiently across all departments. Operation drives the implementation of the agency's strategic objectives through internal coordination, collaboration, and operational excellence. The team oversees things like internal governance, agency-wide administrative systems, and policy development. And as you are probably aware, we're also responsible for engagement with our customers and stakeholders at all levels, as I mentioned earlier, including the Community Advisory Committee, which means that we do hear from our customers on a day-to-day basis in all forms and formats. And our work also highlights and promotes transparency and accountability. By and large, the operations section of the organization is holding steady on its budget. We are proposing a few key investments to enhance customer education, prioritize our data and IT infrastructure and security, launching programs that have been in development for a number of years now, and support new pilots that can help make the clean energy transition more accessible to all. So you'll hear from each of our department heads in a moment, and each of these teams, each of these department heads will share notable changes in this year's budget. And first and foremost, we'll start with Lucas Uto, our Senior Director of IT Data Analytics and Customer Operations.
Good evening.
Good evening. Thank you, Jack. For the record, my name is Lucas Uto. I'm the Senior Director of Data Analytics and Customer Operations. Good evening, Chair Harris, Vice Chair Montero Adams, members of the Community Advisory Committee. It is my distinct pleasure to provide an overview of two sections of my overall department. One is the IT and Data Analytics, and the other one is Customer Operations. These two essentially have been broken into two separate cost centers in the budget book, but both of those teams work hand in hand to provide reliable data-driven tools to our internal team and also to our customers at large. The budget highlights for the IT Data Analytics and Customer Operations department include an investment in artificial intelligence and data analytics managed services to create efficiencies and potential savings to our customers, continued improvements in our billing metrics, particularly from the accuracy and the timeliness perspective, as well as effective customer communication that furthers transparency and clarity. And last but not least, as Jack mentioned, enhanced IT infrastructure and cybersecurity posture, which is critical to protect critical data for our customers. These obviously improvements entail that the IT and data analytics costs, at least in this proposed fiscal year budget, are increasing by approximately $519,000 to reflect targeted investments in our capabilities that serve our customers and improve long-term performance. Now, on the opposite side, from the customer ops perspective, I'm happy to announce to the CAC that we've been able to actually reduce our budget by approximately $1.3 million, predominantly driven by renegotiation of our contract with Calpine Energy Solutions. That is our back office data management service provider. And through that contract, we were able to, it took us almost a year and a half to negotiate it, but we were able to get them to move from charging us a per meter account or per meter fee and into a per account fee, which is saving the agency the approximately $1.3 million. These changes, by and large, reflect a shift towards a more efficient, data-driven model that improves both our internal operations and, critically, customer outcomes. And with that, I would now like to pass the baton over to my colleague, Patrick Welch, who is actually remote, the Associate Director of Legislative Affairs, to introduce the Regulatory and Legislative Affairs Department budget. Thank you.
Thank you, Lucas. Good evening, Community Advisory members. Patrick Welch, Associate Director of Legislative Affairs. Normally you'd be hearing from Laura Fernandez, our Senior Director of Regulatory and Legislative Affairs. She could not be here tonight, so I'll be reporting out on our department to you tonight. Our team of 5 monitors and advocates on policies that impact operations and customers, with a primary focus really on the state legislature and the California Public Utilities Commission. Our work supports regulatory compliance and agency-wide understanding of policies that impact operations and customer affordability. We work collaboratively with the California Community Choice Association and other statewide partners. This year we have some minor adjustments to the budget. One, a reduction in federal lobbyist contract not being renewed. San Diego Community Power's primary focus in the policy arena is the state level, because we are what's considered a retail electric provider and the state is our primary regulator. However, there are times when federal policy can have implications for our operations and for customers. We maintain, even with this budget adjustment, we will maintain visibility and ability to engage on federal matters through our Federal Trade Association called the California Community Choice Energy Alliance. We are a member of their Federal Policy Committee. And then we have a slight increase in regulatory counsel. We litigate on behalf of customers issues at the California Public Utilities Commission. For example, costs that go in the power charge and difference adjustment. We contract with outside counsel to help litigate those issues. And due to inflation resulting to increase costs for labor, as well as increased number of proceedings we need to engage on at the California Public Utilities Commission, we anticipate that those costs will increase by a bit, $80,000. But as you can see, between the two major changes, it's relatively flat for our budget as part of the Regulatory and Legislative Affairs Department. And next, I'd like to turn it over to Colin Santulli, our Senior Director of Programs, and I'll remain online in case there's any questions. Thank you.
Thanks, Patrick, and members of the Advisory Committee. Thanks for having me. Colin Santulli. I oversee our Programs Department and our initiatives. As many of you know, the Programs Department implements programs that primarily help reduce customer bills and increase access to clean energy technologies to our customers. Our section of the budget is the largest next to Gordon's in the Power Services Department, and we feel that shows a clear commitment to our reinvestment back into the community. Our programs are primarily designed with input from the Community Power Plan, which this advisory committee was instrumental in developing, as well as our member agencies' climate action plans and state and federal policy. We also work closely with community-based organizations, industry stakeholders, and the internal departments who you've heard from today to make sure our programs are as cost-effective and scalable as possible. Next slide. So for the budget this year, our department, as you know, we led the launch of and now the administration of the San Diego Regional Energy Network, which is funded by public purpose funds, so not community power funds specifically. We're also responsible for other notable investments this year, including the continuation of the residential solar battery savings program and the development of a new suite of pilot programs. These pilot programs will really target customer segments that were not the focus of the initial tranche of pilot programs that was approved in the fiscal year 23-24 budget. So primarily looking at non-residential, multifamily renters, and other customer segments. We anticipate doing this all with our continued focus on investments into priority communities and low-income customers specifically. We have a goal of 50% of our investments reaching those communities of concern. And these programs also, we continue to focus on making sure we have system-wide benefit. So really making sure that the tools and programs that we make available to our customers help customer behavior to benefit the grid, as well as to benefit, like we mentioned, their customer bills and their neighbors' bills as well. So with that, I will pass it to my colleague, Jim Brown.
Thank you very much, Colin, and thank you, committee, for having us here today. For the record, my name is Jen LeBron, the Senior Director of Public Affairs for San Diego Community Power. The Public Affairs Department connects community power with the communities we serve, as well as serves every department that you've heard from today. Together, our strategic communications, marketing, and community engagement teams on the Public Affairs Department enhance brand identity and ensure transparency through outreach, media engagement, and public education. We also support you, our Community Advisory Committee, and work with the broader team at Community Power to ensure local priorities and community voices are reflected in agency-wide decision-making. Our job is to make sure customers and internal staff have the tools they need to understand Community Power's mission and the rates and programs they can use to become more sustainable and save money. All of these efforts and investments previously fell under the marketing and outreach category in our budget. However, a notable change in this year's budget is that we've renamed this category to be called Strategic Communications and Outreach to better reflect the work we do day to day. While marketing does play a role at Community Power, the majority of the work to get the word out about our initiatives and programs are extremely targeted. And so we wanted our budget to reflect that important work and note the importance of tailoring our approach to diverse audiences across our 7 member agencies. So we combined several legacy budget categories together, which makes it appear that the category has increased about $100,000. However, there's no overall change in the non-personnel budget from the public affairs team. Our budget also highlights and reflects the expansion of programs and the need for professional staff to ensure that the people who need our help can understand the options available to them and get those materials in a way that's easy to understand. Therefore, our biggest budget adjustments year over year include hopefully hiring a new cost recoverable SD-REN outreach associate who can help with the boots on the ground outreach we know we're going to need in order to address communities of concern and other historically hard to reach individuals. The other position that we're requesting is for a community engagement manager who can support CO Mollis in her support of the Community Advisory Committee, as well as provide strategic outreach coordination to encourage programs participation. We believe that these positions are critical to Community Power being able to deliver on the promises we've made to reinvest in our communities and help our customers seize the opportunities in front of them. All of these goals that we have for communications, marketing, and outreach are done to provide our customers with accurate, helpful information. And so now I will turn this back over to Jack Clark to close out the presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Jen. We're almost there. CAC, bear with us. Thank you, Jen, and thank you to every member of the Community Power team this year and each and every year. Building our budget takes a lot of work and a lot of team effort and a lot of coordination and collaboration internally to do it right. And so thank you for the team for doing that. And what you've also heard just now really reflects not only our expertise, but I think the values of this organization and every member of our staff. So again, thank you to all of you. The proposed operating budget, capital budget, and the capital investment plan are more than just numbers. Through each segment of this presentation, I think you're hearing that this is our promise and commitment to our stakeholders and our customers, promises that we've been making over the years, and really, I think, the true promise of this organization. Fiscal year 27 proposed budget is a blueprint for the building of a clean and equitable and resilient energy future for the communities we serve. And this budget balances long-term fiscal discipline. I think you heard that quite a bit this evening, with near-term action, as well as continues our commitment to affordability, equitable programs, and organizational excellence. So as we move forward, we remain committed to listening to you and our customers, learning from our partners, and delivering on the promise of Community Power. not just as a utility, but as a force for good in our region. And so we all collectively thank you. We look forward to your feedback and any questions you might have. Thank you again.
Okay, thank you very much, everyone on staff, for that extensive presentation. Ari, do we have any public comment on this item?
We do not, Mr. Chair.
Okay, well, now turning it over to members. If you have questions, comments.
Words.
Mr. Emerson.
Yeah, thanks for all your extensive, details. I probably have too many questions to ask because it's hard to understand everything 100%, but I have a few questions. And about 4 questions, I think. First one was related to the slide 20, and they were talking about the CIP. I think, are you able to hit slide 20 up here?
Go ahead.
And I just wanted to go over the CIP meaning and how it's used one more time. And here, so capital investment plan, it went from 21 to 8. And in parentheses, you had 13.9. Can you explain again why that was lower and what's the difference?
Sure. So these are the operating contributions to the CIP. So Will Wiseman, Associate Director of Finance for the Capital Plan. So every year, the CIP funds are carry forward. So when there's an appropriation, it's for that project purpose. That carries forward to the next fiscal year unless it's de-appropriated by the board. So in this year, that 13.9 reflects a reduced contribution from the operating budget, but it's not a reduction to the capital investment plan. So last year, the operating budget contributed 21.9. This year, it's contributing 8. So kind of to the question earlier on solar battery savings, those unspent proceeds or contributions from the last year are carrying forward. It's just a lower contribution in this fiscal year to meet those kind of program objectives.
So capital investment plan in this case is for specific projects?
It's for the projects outlined, correct. Correct.
Okay, and then and I think around slide 28 or 30, I thought they were talking about lower rates. Was that talking about lower rates? And I thought I heard 52 to 9 for renewable energy costs. Did I misunderstand? That sounds like an extreme amount of difference or change. Did I hear that correctly? How did that come about?
Yeah, so through the chair, thanks for the question, Member Anderson. So the comment you made for it was $62 down to about $10 for renewable energy for what we're procuring energy in the open market for. So sorry,
62, not 52.
62, yeah. So the California Public Utilities Commission had originally projected that renewable resources, specifically PCC1, would cost $62 in this current calendar year
Per
megawatt hour. Yeah, and then what we're seeing right now, so if one of our energy traders were to go out on the open market, that energy instead of $62, it's trading for around $9 to $10.
That's renewable energy.
Yeah.
Why did it change so drastically? Or that sounds good.
Yeah.
But can you explain?
In terms of why it's gone down from last year to this year, Gordon Tamlin could speak a little bit more to this better than I could. But I think there's multiple factors. One of the biggest things that occurred was there's these compliance period for load serving entities to hit certain California renewable requirements. And those compliance periods, I think there was one that ended in 2025. There's another one that ends in 2027. And when those compliance periods happen, then all the load serving entities need to be like a certain percentage renewable. So the last compliance period, there was a kind of a drive to get more renewable for certain load serving entities that weren't ready. So there's a lot of demand at that time that kind of drove up the prices. I think those same load serving entities have figured out how to be more compliant with the next compliance period. So we're not seeing the same kind of run up in prices and the same demand. And that's one of the fundamental reasons why we're seeing this price go down from what the CPUC had originally projected.
How did the CPUC make such a big misunderstanding? Or maybe you don't know the answer to that, but
Maybe I could just interject. It was SDG&E that entered into these contracts years ago at these higher prices. So the PCIA reflects the difference
this is not
between current.
PCIA, right?
Well, yeah, this does, it's related to PCIA, right? Because it's when SCG&E calculates the rates, it's based on a forecasted price for the upcoming year. So like as an example, in
I thought you said the CPUC projected the $62.
right. So what happens is the CPUC will project at $62, and when SCG&E brings their rates forward to the CPUC, one of the things it's based off of is this market price benchmark that's calculated. So that $62 market price benchmark that was calculated by the CPUC is used by the SDG&E in their ultimate rate calculation for the current year.
Mr. Chair, Gordon Samuel would like to comment.
Okay, Mr. Samuel.
Yeah, thanks. Tim, I would just also add, in addition to the compliance period, which can drive some behavioral differences to meet some targets, there has been a lot of renewables that have come onto the grid. So it really does boil down to a supply and demand situation. I know earlier in tonight's discussion, we talked about the amount of batteries that have come onto the grid. Now, batteries themselves are not a renewable resource, but they help enable and facilitate renewable resources such as solar. And a lot of these batteries are paired with solar resources. So there is an abundance of renewable resources on the grid right now. So I would also add the CPUC coming off some historic highs in those PCC1 prices in 24 period, especially in 25. I'm not sure they do the best, obviously not the best job of forecasting what things will turn out to be, but they do look in the rearview mirror a little bit to see what the prices were recently. So that has an effect on it. But in the real time, this is what things are trading for, as Tim mentioned earlier, and that's a direct function of the amount of renewables that are on the grid.
That's very positive. Okay, and I think I'm gonna one more question. Can you remind me the Calpine contract? What could you go over what that covers? And you renegotiated the costs related to them, and again, just the big picture.
Absolutely.
Calpine contract.
That's a very good question. Thank you, Member Emerson. For the record, my name is Lucas Uto, Senior Director of Data Analytics and Customer Operations. So Calpine, and I think they've actually changed their name. So it used to be Calpine Energy Solutions, and now I think they go by Calpine Community Energy. They are what is known as our data management service provider. In other words, they handle all of the back office, EDI transactions, the usage receipts, billing, customer payments, etc. And that contract is actually one of our largest item in terms of our non-procurement expenditure. And we have always wanted to renegotiate to get better terms. And we actually did. So effective as of May of this year, we're now in a new agreement construct with them that provides a lot more clarity in terms of the service level agreements that we expect for the services that they're providing, and also a lower cost construct overall, because we were not interested in being charged a per meter fee. We wanted and lobbied very hard to get a per account charge fee. In other words, the reason why that is saving us, one customer account, you could have multiple meters in your house, right? Like let's say if you have 3 meters, initially or before this new contract, Calpine would charge us for the 3 meters. With the per account fee, they're only charging us per one account. So that's saving us quite a bit.
Well, thanks for the explanation, and thanks for working hard on keeping the costs down. Thanks.
Are there any other comments from members? Questions? Yes. Mr. Montero Adams.
Tim, sorry to have you come back up. I do have one question for you. I don't know if this is two questions or one messy question. Feel free to address it in whatever makes the most sense. I'm thinking about the snapback that's created by the difference in the projection versus the actuality, and that being a formulation of the different vintages of the PCIA. Am I correct in saying that we might be having a new vintage coming online? Would that conceivably impact a secondary smaller snapback in the coming year, or will all the vintages kind of work in unison? And then the other part of that question is, as we're looking at the kind of projection of it being a high cost per megawatt hour to a low price, does it make sense that then the next subsequent year in 2028, we would see the reverse of that? Or is it possible that there might be that third option that you also presented of a stability phase? I'm just thinking about like the reserves, I'm incredibly glad that we have the reserves planned for this possibility of an event, but how does that impact the reserves in subsequent years?
Yeah, so through the chair, I'll go in reverse order of the questions.
Okay.
So I guess the first question, see if I can control this. Sorry, Mari, I'm gonna bring us back here a little bit. It's easier to tell the story with the slide. So we presented the same version of this Henry Hub gas slide back in December, but there's we had different boxes and arrows for the chart. But on that boxes and arrows chart from December, what we said was they're kind of cycles for like these ebbs and flows. It's anywhere between a 2 to 4 year cycle where it goes from like cycle to cycle. So then I should preface this by saying we have no idea. Like if we knew how to predict this, we'd probably be like trillionaires like Elon Musk. But we're not. But I think reliably we can say that that cycle plays out where it's 2 to 4 years. So what we expect then is you go from that PCA snapback from high to low, and it's going to be a 2 to 4 year kind of cycle between, I think, kind of stability, and then we expect it to go back up. But then, this is kind of where we get into the strategy of the budget, where when we do the budget, we build reserves, right? We end up using those reserves when the snapback happens. It'll go down, and then we'll have to wait for the next cycle to try to build those reserves back up for the next kind of PCA snapback cycle. Getting to the other question on vintaging and potentially City of Coronado and others. I'd say fundamentally the same phenomenon would occur with any vintage.
Okay.
Let me think about that. Yeah, because I mean it would be. I could be misspeaking, so Lucas, you can save me if you want. But when those energy contracts are fundamentally purchased for each vintage, they'll all be benchmarked against kind of the same market price benchmarks. So that's kind of why I say it'll kind of, no matter the vintage, it'll go up or down kind of in lockstep with each other. Yeah.
I wasn't sure just because I know the first sets of vintages were so close in contact with each other.
Yeah.
And having this outlier vintage, I wasn't sure if they would move in unison or if they would end up having different volatility to them. But thank you for that.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Yes.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you very much to staff. I know how hard it is to put a budget together, and so I really appreciate all the hard work that clearly went into it. I have a couple of they may be newbie questions, so forgive me if you've been over this before, but I'm just really curious. Like, when I look at the budget, how do we compare to other CCAs? Like, are we indexed against them performance-wise? Like, do we take our budget and look at their budgets? Like, is there a performance standard that exists, and if not, is that something we might look at in the future? That's my first question.
Yeah, I could take a first crack at this, and Tim, feel free to jump in. So we are the, I don't know there's an apples to apples comparison, quite frankly. There are 24 other CCAs up and down the state. They all have a different makeup, right? They all have different goals. Many of them, if not all of them, are striving for 100% renewable electricity. But they reflect the needs and the values of their communities. So they're all a little bit different, okay? I think that suggestion is a good one. That's something maybe we can take back and take a look at. We are the second largest CCA in the state. So comparatively by load, we're similar to CPA in the LA and Ventura County. So I think when Gordon spoke, he mentioned that our power procurement budget, that line item is the largest line item in our budget. That's comparable to CPA. But when you look at some of the other things we're doing, we might be more similar to some other different CCAs in terms of our program portfolio because of the needs of that community. So it's not necessarily an apples to apples comparison.
Thank you for that. I mean, I think it would be helpful to start thinking of, I mean, potentially if this is something that you would go down, but just benchmarking, I think is so incredibly important. Even if you had an index of the 5 most like, community power, right? And where do we in every year, how are we fluctuating against those 5 and what ratios are they applying for each one of these budget categories?
I know that our finance team specifically is comparing and contrasting how we're, how our budget compares and to other CCAs. We're also looking at staff growth. We're also looking at a number of issues. And again, the only other thing I'll say is we've been serving customers for 5 years. So we're the youngest, not to mention the second largest. And I think the maturity of this organization, the maturity of our staff, the experience really reflects in the budget that we've developed. And, by and large, we're comparing quite well and quite competitively to our sister CCAs up and down the state.
I think that's an important part of the story, right? So if part of the story is to attract and retain customers and also to begin to convince folks that they need to be, staying with us for our journey to 100% renewable, then I think part of the storytelling is how well we're doing compared to other CCAs. And again, presenting us with those benchmarks doesn't have to be exhaustive. I just think if it's a competitive set of 5 or something like that, or 10, indexing them and saying, yeah, this is this, and then explaining why, because there are differences, there's policy differences and there's practical differences. So I appreciate that. I just have a couple more quick ones, Chair. Oh yeah, thank you.
Sorry, just transparently, we did cut out a fair number of these slides just to make the presentation more palatable. But if you were to reference our presentation to the board or the FRMC, we did include those benchmarks. I think we completely agree that we do compare ourselves. Jack is completely right. It's kind of apples and oranges, but there is a reference point out there if you wanted to look at it.
Yeah, that would be great. I would love to learn more about that. A couple other quick questions on maybe the worst case scenario that we were looking at. I know forecasting is, art and science. So when it comes to that, I mean, how are you looking back at how well you've forecasted versus what you're doing in the future? Like, how does that benchmarking work? How good, how do you measure yourself in terms of your ability to forecast? What's the success rate, I guess, been? And I know we're still young, but what's the success rate kind of been on forecasting?
Yeah, so through the chair, you remember in last year's budget, we made some really key investments in some software. One of the softwares that was procured that has been stood up this fiscal year is a software called Sequant. And one of the, as a math nerd, one of the cool things about Sequant is it does a lot of stochastics, like Monte Carlo simulations. So what it does is it looks at different forward curves. It looks at our historical load, and then it uses that to do a distribution of what might happen for load and for energy prices. And so when we showed that slide earlier for that stress test, one of the things that peeling back a lot of layers here, one of the things that we looked at in that stress test is what we call, if you just think of a normal standard deviation curve, right? Like a 2 standard deviation, like 5%, 95% bell curve. That's exactly what we showed on there. So then we showed what a 5% scenario looks like for our net margin and what a 95% scenario looks like. And that's not necessarily 5% for like an energy curve. It's the combination of different events that could occur that make up a 5% net margin, right? So it could mean, for example, like a 20% forward curve in combination with like a 2% load curve. But then when you add those things up together, then it's like a 5% like net margin curve. So when you see that slide, that's kind of what it is. It's that 5% to 95% curve. And I can talk about some of it because I'm excited about it, but because we just this year had the ability to do that through that software that the CAC, the FRMC and board let us procure.
We should see that.
Okay.
That's thank you. One last, well, maybe two quick ones. The PCIA, so that feels like something that there's things that are within our control and things that are not, and then there are things that are within our influence and things that are not. What ability do we have to influence PCIA? I mean, I know we can't control it, but how do we influence it?
Yeah, if I could
big
take this.
Big bogey out there.
Yeah, if I could take this one, I'll be brief. This is a healthy and meaty topic, and we're limited in the impact we can have on the PCIA, but we are active trying to find solutions. And there's a proceeding right now, PCIA proceeding happening at the California Public Utilities Commission that we're actively engaged in, along with every other community choice aggregator and investor-owned utility up and down the state, as well as our industry organization, CalCCA. So we're actively working on this in real time, again, along with every other CCA. So we're limited, but we're hopeful that we can make change. Again, the structure of this is really to provide indifference, right? The intention behind this mechanism is good, but it's got to be updated because it's entirely too volatile. It's got too many negative impacts. And so it's something we're working on.
Thank you.
Okay. Any questions? Oh, yes, Mr. Powell.
I don't have a question, so make it a little easier, but just wanted to thank staff. I'm part of a lot of budget presentations and I appreciate how much work you put into it and that was actually palatable and understandable. So thank you.
Yes, yes, please.
Very good. I'm not sure who's driving the slides. Could we see any one of the slides with the days cash on hand with the reserves, please?
Sorry. Yeah, I can.
Oh, I don't remember the number. I know where it's at though. Okay, here we go. Actually, I'll do this.
That's fine. That one works.
Okay.
And maybe stay here because I'll ask you to go to one more slide. Don't worry, no hard questions or anything. I was asking to bring up this slide for the benefit of the CAC members and member Sumner. When you ask how good is the forecasting going, if I was going to boil it all down to one number at the end of all the inflows and outflows, it would be the trend of reserves over time. And I think there's another chart of reserves starting back at 0, maybe that Chris had.
Yeah, it was a transit chart. I can just go to it. Yeah, because you're right. That was a very good observation. That was meant to be the reserves over time. It was
right, which was starting at 0. And so year after year, it's the budget discussion of how much is coming in, how much is going out, how will the reserves end up? And so if you project, actuals versus projection or budget, I guess, I think that's kind of where the rubber meets the road. And, this team has nailed it, right? There was a time when it was 30 days cash on hand or 50 days, and the goal was to get to 180, and that felt like a year away or something, and you've blown through that and done excellent. So I just wanted to highlight that like that's one number that you can look at to say kind of how are things going. Okay, if you could go forward to your slide where you showed the rate reduction, the PCIA grew and the rates went down. Maybe 1 or 2 slides ahead from here. Yes, this one. So this chart, I don't know, again, I guess this is just general commentary for Community Power and maybe to acting CEO Clark here. speaking for myself and maybe for Chula Vista, this is what we want to see. We want to see power rates going down. Like this is what happiness looks like, right? But the other side of that is kind of the front matter of this presentation is the business challenge. As we come into the budget discussions of like, well, revenue is down, and what does that mean for our organization and so on. And my comment is maybe between now and next year, just to begin reflecting on like mindset and the goals of community power, as far as like maybe revenue decrease is something to think about in a positive way. Like not to say goes to zero, but as the cost of electricity ideally goes to zero, the cost of electrons, there's other costs involved with getting it to customers and managing programs and so on. So there needs to be some amount of revenue. But and not that I heard any of this from anyone speaking, but it's not the same as SDG&E where the line has to go up every year. If the cost of power is going down, that's what the community wants. And so how do you build an organization that can succeed in that environment? Number one, makes this organization successful. Number two, puts pressure on SDG&E and the other utilities when they go to the PUC and they have a rate case and they ask for such and such, and they're seeing, others succeed with less. So, mixed messages on this slide, right? I understand there's a challenge to continue business with less revenue, but at the same time, rates going down is what we want. So thank you.
Okay, this is a receive and file item. No further action is needed. Thank you, staff, again. And let's move on to regular agenda item number 8. This is election of chair, vice chair, and secretary for fiscal year 26-27. It's the end of my term. I know everyone's a little sad about that. No, it's time to turn over to a new slate of officers. So I'm going to turn it over to Zimalis Crespo, Senior Community Engagement Manager, to provide an overview of each role before taking nominations for each position.
Good evening. So my name is Zimalis Crespo, Senior Community Engagement Manager, and you can see an overview of each role on this slide, but for time's sake, I will be providing you with an overview of the process of the election. So in terms of process, officers may be nominated or self-nominated and elected by a simple majority vote of the CAC. Each nomination requires a second, and if there is only one nominee for a position, the CAC members will vote yes or no to elect the nominee. If there is more than one nominee for a position, the CAC will cast their votes by name until a nominee receives a majority vote. A member does not need to be present during elections to be considered and elected, but the nominating member must ensure that the nominee has consented to be nominated and that they would serve if elected. The term will be for 1 year or until a successor is elected, with the option for officers to be reelected for up to 3 one-year terms. That concludes my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Zio. Okay, Mari, do we have any public comment on this item?
We do not, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Well, this is where the fun begins. I'll turn it over to our members for discussion and nominations. I was just wondering, Zio, do we start with secretary or?
We
is
can
there
do
an
chair
order
first,
to-
Mr. Chair.
The chair first. Okay, chair first. Okay. Did you say that and I just missed it?
No, it's in there.
Oh, it's in here. Oh, okay. I'll get to it. Here we go. Just need to turn the page. Okay, so first we'll deal with chair. So do I have some nominations for chair? From our members. Yes, Matthew.
Nominate committee or vice chair Luis Montero Adams.
I will second.
Okay. We have one
Seconded, I'm
nominee.
sorry.
I did.
Thank you, Matthew and Ross. Okay. Do we have additional nominations for position of chair? Well, we have a motion and a second. Marty, please call the roll.
Committee Member Anderson,
I think point of order, you don't need a second for a nomination for an office. All you need is a nomination. And yeah, and given that there's another point of order, given that there's only one nominee, I move that we accept it by acclamation without objection.
Can we do that?
We still have to take a roll call vote, correct? Yeah.
we still have to vote, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, then
Okay, that was I from Member Anderson.
Committee Member Emerson,
Aye.
Committee Member Hitlian. Committee Member Hoyt,
Aye.
Committee Member Santos. Aye. Committee Member Sclafani,
Aye.
Committee Member Sumner,
Yes.
Committee Member Vasilakis,
Aye.
Secretary Pike,
Enthusiastic aye.
Vice Chair Montero Adams,
I accept the nomination and aye.
Chair Harris.
Notice how we didn't give you that chance.
And Chair Harris, yes,
Aye.
motion carries.
All right, congratulations, Luis. Okay, next I'll take nominations for vice chair. Yes, Luis.
I just wanted to say thank you, everyone. It's been an honor to have this role and having had the opportunity to serve with this person as well. I would like to nominate Member Ross Pike to be vice chair.
Accept for the record.
And
Mr. Chair, we do need to take a, vote. We need a second, motion and a second.
do need a
Yes.
second on this one. Okay,
I'll second.
yes. Member Vasilakis,
And can you repeat who motioned it again, please? Luis, and then,
Luis Montero Adams.
and Ross, you said, oh, who seconded?
uh,
Thank you. I
Matthew
just want to make sure I have the record straight. Thank you.
Okay,
Just accept it for the record.
yeah. The nomination has been accepted. So we have a motion and a second. Marty, please call the roll.
Committee Member Anderson,
once again, a point of order, you should ask for additional nominees.
Oh, that's true. Are there any additional nominations for vice chair? Good point of order, though. Okay. So we have a motion and a second. Marty, please call the roll.
Committee Member Anderson,
Aye.
Committee Member Emerson,
Aye.
Committee Member Heatlian,
Aye.
Committee Member Hoyt,
Aye.
Committee Member Santos. Aye. Committee Member Sclafani,
Aye.
Committee Member Sumner,
Yes.
Committee Member Vasilakis,
Aye.
Secretary Pike,
Thank you and aye.
Vice Chair Montero Adams.
Aye.
And Chair Harris.
Aye.
Committee Member Harris. Motion
Thank you.
carries.
That's fine. Okay, congratulations. Next, we have the role of secretary. Could I please have a nomination?
As the outgoing secretary, I would like to nominate members.
You accept the nomination?
I do.
Okay.
I do.
Is there a second?
I second that.
Okay. Are there any other nominations for secretary? Okay, seeing none, we have a motion and a second.
Committee
call the
Member Anderson,
Aye.
Committee Member Emerson,
Aye.
Committee Member Hitlian,
Aye.
Committee Member Hoyt,
Aye.
Committee Member Santos, Committee Member Sclafani,
Aye.
Committee Member Sumner,
Yes.
Committee Member Vasilakis,
Aye.
Vice Chair Pike,
Aye.
Chair Montero Adams,
Aye.
and Committee Member Harris.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Okay, well, congratulations to the new.
Thank you.
Great. Now, at this point, before I turn over the role of chair to Luis, I wanted to just kind of get a sense if people want to take a couple minutes break, or if you want to power through. So maybe just by a show of hands, take a break for 5 minutes. All in favor? 3, okay, power through. Okay, all right, we're gonna power through, but feel free to excuse yourself if silently if you need to. All right, so.
Well, thank you. Just a quick comment after this election and transition. It's been an honor to serve on this community advisory board for the last 2 years, and it's, you know, going back to your comments, Secretary Sumner, we're all growing through this process and learning so much about this organization. Having the opportunity to take on this role allows me to continue in that for myself, and it's something that I will take with a lot of respect, but I also know that we're all working on this together. So very excited to continue this leadership. I had the honor of joining when Matthew Batsalakis was chair, and now having the opportunity to serve under Chair Harris. I hope to continue their strong tradition and continue to make them proud. So thank you, staff, fellow members. I know that we're all excited. As chair, I will now move on to item 10, Community Power Plan Review Ad Hoc Committee Report. CAC Vice Chair Ross Pike will be providing this report. Ross.
Well, good evening, everyone. I'm Ross Pike, representing the unincorporated communities of San Diego County. Today, I will provide a report on the activities of the Community Power Plan Review Ad Hoc Committee on behalf of its members. Members appointed also included former Chair David Harris from La Mesa, Lawrence Emerson from National City, and Alonso Gonzalez from Chula Vista. The ad hoc committee was originally formed to leverage publicly available documents and data to better understand Community Power's programming impact and engagement as outlined on the Community Power Plan, or CPP. The ad hoc had committed to developing actionable recommendations to support staff in strengthening the effectiveness and advancing the plan's objectives. Over time, the scope of this effort evolved to focus on summarizing selected program highlights that provide a snapshot of progress and key accomplishments. As a result, the information presented today is intended to offer a high-level overview and may not fully capture the breadth of ongoing activities and outcomes across all programs. Today, I will highlight a selection of these programs. For context, a core commitment of the Community Power Plan is ensuring clean energy investments to reach underserved communities. To do so, Community Power has committed at least 50% of non-administrative program funding toward participation from communities of concern whenever funding rules allow, and the organization continues to leverage both internal revenues and external grants to expand access to clean energy, workforce opportunities, and bill savings. Through the San Diego Regional Energy Academy, Community Power has helped support 4 cohorts totaling 125 participants, including me and cohort 2, providing education on energy systems, climate resilience, electrification, and equity. Community engagement efforts to help increase awareness of available programs and energy-saving opportunities remain extensive, with more than 100 community events attended so far in 2026, 118 organizations sponsored or co-sponsored during the last fiscal year, and a continued development of educational videos and outreach materials for website and social media distribution. Through the Solar Advantage program, or the DAC Green Tariff, the Solar Advantage program expands access to renewable energy for renters and households that cannot install rooftop solar. Eligible participants receive 100% renewable energy service, approximately 20% bill savings, and renewable energy benefits without installation or maintenance costs. Community Power has been allocated approximately 20 megawatts of capacity through that program, with about 5 megawatts approved as of April 2026, creating room for future growth. We evaluated pilot programs delivering measurable results, including the Solar Battery Savings Program, which distributed $11 million to support solar and battery storage installations for 1,600 customers and resulted in 2,200 battery installations as part of its pilot. The DAC Readiness Program, or Disadvantaged Community Single-Family Solar Homes, funded roof replacements to repair homes for solar installations, with 27 roof replacements completed, leveraging approximately $850,000 in additional state funding, and had an expected lifetime customer savings of roughly $36,000 per household. The Efficient Refrigeration Equipment Program fully expended its state grant funding and supported 32 food serving businesses and nonprofits with energy efficient refrigeration equipment. With grants and energy efficiency investments, the Community Clean Energy Grants have invested more than $2.5 million across 3 funding cycles to support local projects focused on energy literacy, youth education, air quality, workforce development, and resilience. Looking ahead, the San Diego Regional Energy Network secured $124 million from the California Public Utilities Commission to launch energy efficiency programs throughout the region through 2027. These programs will support students, workers, public agencies, tribal governments, residents, and small businesses through targeted energy efficiency and workforce initiatives. In closing, overall, the first 3 years of implementation of the Community Power Plan demonstrate meaningful progress towards its goals through education, equitable clean energy access, pilot program innovation, and external funding acquisition. The next phase will focus on scaling successful programs, improving data collection, leveraging additional funding, and continuing engagement with communities of concern to maximize impact. And with that, this report concludes the work of the ad hoc committee.
Thanks so much for that report. Madi, do we have any public comment on this item?
We do not, Mr. Chair.
Perfect. I will now turn it over to the CAC members for any comments and or questions. Member Anderson.
Do you have any specific recommendations?
You're still on, right?
Do you have any specific recommendations for future as a result of your work?
Yeah. Okay, I think I can answer as a member of this ad hoc committee. We had ambitious goals for this ad hoc committee, and we were only able to accomplish a certain amount. We thought the highest priority was looking what has been implemented, especially those programs that benefit communities of concern or fulfill the promise of reinvesting in our communities at large. So we didn't get to the stage of recommendations, and that could be an activity for this committee going forward.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, Committee Member Hoyt wants to speak.
Please, Member Hoyt.
Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. I want to apologize to the board. I have to attend remotely. I am trying to recover from a stroke, and I miss being there personally. I also want to commend our staff that I had the pleasure to attend in a wheelchair the opening or the ribbon cutting of the Imperial Beach Boys and Girls Club. And it was an honor to be here about how community power has helped them become a sustainable clean energy campus. And I appreciated seeing Jen and Jack there, and Terrell was there too. Family, I'm sorry I'm not there. Thank you for a great meeting, and staff, thank you for everything you did today. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing that with us, Member Hoyt. We all wish you a speedy recovery and appreciate your dedication to the CAC body, even as you continue to recover. Any other comments? Please.
I just want to thank David for all of the work that you did with this. So thank you. I know we had some lofty goals, but we got through what we could. So I just want to thank you, but that would not have been possible without you leading that charge. So thank you.
Seeing no other comments, this is a receive and file item and no further action is needed. Thank you. We will now move on to item 11, update on the California Energy Commission's Equitable Building Decarbonization Direct Install Program. I will turn it over to Nelson Lomeli, Senior Program Manager, to provide this presentation.
Thank you, Chair. For the record, my name is Nelson Lomeli. I'm a Senior Program Manager with San Diego Community Power.
it is really strange standing at the podium since I'm used to sitting over there or just presenting. So thank you for having me and giving this update. So it's been, I think, about a year since we talked last about the program, the Equitable Building Decarbonization Direct Install Program, or what we just call EBD. I'll try to minimize my usage of EBD, but I may say it every once in a while just because it's a habit. So I wanted to provide just a couple of updates in terms of what staff has been doing over the past year since we got our Memorandum of Understanding approved. So just a quick overview for the new committee members that we have here in terms of what is the Equitable Building Decarbonization Program. So this is a statewide program that is going to invest no-cost direct installation of decarbonization measures into low-income or income-qualified homes. These measures, these decarbonization upgrades are meant to increase energy savings, reduce energy consumption, reduce greenhouse gas emissions, and improve indoor air quality. This program is only available to low to moderate income residential households, so income qualified households in what are called initial community focus areas. And I will get to that in a couple of slides in terms of what are those areas. In terms of who's eligible for the program in terms of property, this program is available for single family homes as well as multifamily buildings. So that could be apartments or condos and mobile and manufactured homes. So based on a target that we have for retrofitting from the program, we're anticipating or targeting to retrofit just over 1,700 units. And we use the term units here because a multifamily apartment may have multiple units. So we're targeting 1,700 units. And based on our estimates, that means that we could potentially see an investment of over $40 million in our region from this program. So on the right-hand side, you can kind of see what those types of no-cost upgrades are that are available to the resident. The resident can, as part of this process, goes through a series of working with what's called a program advisor, and they get to select what types of retrofits make the most sense for their home. So this program is funded by the California Energy Commission and by the state at large through the general fund. It is administered by Los Angeles County or LA County. They won a competitive bid or competitive solicitation from the Energy Commission to be the administrator for the southern region. So the state was divided into 3 regions, northern, central, and southern. Each of those regions have their own program administrator, and we are working with LA County as part of that. The southern region has the largest bulk of the budget for this program at $328 million. That is subject to change depending on potential budget reductions that I don't have any visibility yet. But I did want to just say that that's 300 and the largest. It's over 55% of the total budget. As part of this process, Community Power did execute a memorandum of understanding with LA County last April, to accept $1.4 million for marketing, outreach, and education, as well as staff time for this program. So for what we've been working on over the past couple of years as a timeline for the new members is we've been working on this for a very long time. We've been following this program. It's been 3 years in development from when the Energy Commission kind of had the idea and started issuing these RFIs or requests for informations to when we are now, where we are now, which is applications are now open and we are going to start outreach pretty soon here. So earlier, I mentioned initial community focus areas, so I wanted to give just more context in terms of what those areas are. So these are the areas that are that eligibility is limited to. So the Equitable Building Decarb program is only eligible or only available to households in these areas. So these communities were selected by LA County and approved by the Energy Commission with consultation with community partners like ourselves. The selection was based on a number of factors and criteria, some of which included climate vulnerability, such as exposure to heat, fire, and pollution,
being underserved by existing programs, having a high energy burden, and the potential for bill savings. So there was a number of analysis that was done by the program administrator by LA County to select these areas. And I wanted to focus our attention to the south region, or the ones that you see kind of in the teal and blue area, which is Ramona, El Cajon, Storm, and Chula Vista. And I want to dig a little deeper into what these ICFAs are, because you may see El Cajon and think, is it only the city of El Cajon? But it actually encompasses a larger portion of that. So as I was mentioning, El Cajon, this initial community focus area, or ICFA, does include the city of El Cajon, but it also includes communities around the city as well. So the list here that you see is not an exhaustive list. This is more just us trying to give you a sense of place of what areas would be eligible for this program. So this is what we're using in partnership with our community-based organizations that I'll cover later, to direct the targeting of outreach and marketing and education for this program. For what's called STORM, or severely threatened, overburdened, and resource-limited municipalities, which is a lovely name. So that includes the region of San Diego, and you can kind of see the neighborhoods that are included in the areas of San Diego. I won't name all of them, but it includes the historic barrios, as well as Lincoln Park and Mount Hope and Mountain View, those areas. As well as National City. So you can see those are, for National City, it's predominantly the communities west of Paradise Hills. So a lot of the central down core area and all the way to the bay. Chula Vista is its own ICFA as well. So that bullet should have been edged to one side, but it doesn't matter. These are primarily, again, just communities west of the San Bao and Valle Lindo Park. Just, again, trying to give you place setting in terms of what these communities are. As well as you can kind of see that little area on the side, which is the East Lake and Telegraph Canyon Estates. So that general area of Chula Vista. So I mentioned that we are doing the marketing, outreach, and education for this program. So that is really our key role in this program. So one of the ways that we are doing that is actually by activating our power network that our public affairs team and outreach team has stood up. So it's a new idea with the Power Network, which is to partner with community-based organizations to help do education and outreach. So we activated the Power Network, and we sent out a bid to those community-based organizations, and had proposed this structure, this 3-tiered structure for how they could work with us, or what we thought might work with for this program. So we started with recognizing that we heard from CBOs that there are limited, there are varying levels of organizational capacity. And so we started with what you see here as a light, which is like more of the lower resource activities, to more of the advanced stuff, which is the resource intensive pieces. And so we adjusted the budget range accordingly. So what we thought would happen for that. We were really successful. We had a lot of interest from CBOs, and we ended up partnering with 10 community-based organizations. You'll see 8 on the slide here, because we are still waiting for budget approval for 2 of them. And based on our procurement rules, we're not allowed to publicly name those just yet. We are in the final stages. We just got news from the Energy Commission, or from LA County, that the Energy Commission is reviewing for final approval on their budget. So fingers crossed we get that by July 1st. But you can see here some of the Power Network CBOs that we are working with. So that includes the Center for Community Energy, Good for Others, Groundwork, I Am Green, I Love a Clean San Diego, San Diego 350, the Urban Collaborative Project, and the United Women of East Africa. Again, there's two more that I want to name so badly, but I'm going to withhold just now. And I'm really excited because part of this process is we just had our kickoff meeting to get started on this project today. So during lunch, we gathered all the community-based organizations and started getting them to start talking with each other and coordinating on the type of strategies and activities that they can be involved with to get the word out about the program, start ideating around what are some of the barriers and some of the strengths of the coalition as a whole. And we had a really successful meeting. We received a lot of really good feedback from the community-based organizations. One of the things that I really wanted to do and strive for is, as we all know, reporting to a government agency, especially a state level agency, can be quite burdensome. And so I wanted to reduce that burden on our community-based organizations. And it seemed based on the kickoff that a lot of them were really appreciative of that and really liked that the way we had structured it for reporting purposes. So I'm really excited about that. We are going to be coordinating across all of those organizations to make sure that we align on a common strategy and make sure that we get coverage into all of the initial community focus areas and the communities. And I want to remind, this is a 5-year program, so this will go all the way up until 2029. So there's like no rush to get this right. So we're really approaching this as like, let's ramp up the outreach and make sure to test messaging and see what works and what doesn't. So in addition to working with and coordinating with organizations, the core of this is really to encourage residents to submit an enrollment form so that they can be part of this program. We're also going to be coordinating with our member agencies to make sure that they receive the information that they need and the resources that they need, as well as there are other San Diego-based what are called community partners with LA County. So that means organizations that have a direct contract with LA County. So that includes Grid Alternatives, Clean Energy Alliance, our sister CCA up north, the San Diego Urban Sustainability Coalition, as well as the County of San Diego. So we're going to be working with them and coordinating with that, with those organizations and agencies to make sure that this program is successful and that we hit our retrofit targets. Wow, we're excited about that. So I wanted to just kind of give an update on terms of what our retrofit targets are. So what the program has set out for us to hit. So I'm starting with the Southern California region. So this is all the 9 counties that make up the Southern region. So you can see where the program as a whole is targeting just over 10,000, close to 10,500 units as a goal by the end of 2029. So that's across single family, mobile homes, and multifamily. When we start to dig down into San Diego, and this is inclusive for just our region and what we have as our targets. So we're looking at close to 1,400 units that we are targeting to retrofit as part of this. So we understand that we're going to have to go above and beyond that number because we know that some people may not go through the whole process. So it's going to be a lot of outreach that we will have to do. And you can kind of see this ramping phase that in terms of the units, the goals that we have to hit by year. So when you combine those numbers as well as the numbers that our sister CCA up north has, you can see that that's that 1,700 number that I mentioned about earlier that equates to about 40 million in potential investments. And I wanted to end with this Rapid Start project, which was a really fascinating project. So as part of the setup of the program, the Energy Commission wanted to see what they called Rapid Start projects. So these were projects that were shovel-ready, which is really hard to make a shovel-ready program for a new program. But essentially what they wanted to do is see a project go through the idea of this program and see what are the barriers, what are people encountering as potential issues that we need to solve before we launch this program. And we were actually really fortunate that San Diego, and in particular our region, was selected as the sole Rapid Start project for the Southern California region. So the LA County worked with McKinney Manor, which is a senior housing facility in Southeast San Diego, to test out the program delivery and gather lessons learned through this process. So for these units, so there were 50 units that were retrofit for this Rapid Start project. All of the units got new heat pump water heaters. They got a new electric induction range, as well as updated wiring to support those electrification measures. And so that we can see the picture on the right is the ribbon cutting that was held at the end of May with Commissioner McAllister from the Energy Commission, and as well as commissioners from the California Air Resources Board in attendance to really showcase this project. So really excited about this. And this gave us a lot of lessons learned, in particular about permitting and how we go working with permitting on that process. So with that, in terms of next steps, you see that this says hold a kickoff meeting because initially this was an early meeting, but we have held that kickoff meeting. So now we're going to be initiating our marketing, outreach, and education. Our CBO partners are now ideating and thinking about what are the strategies that they're going to be implementing for this next quarter. And then coordinating with our member agencies and sharing resources across the board to make sure that we're sharing lessons learned as well. So with that, I will turn it back to the chair for any questions.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Nelson, for that fantastic presentation. Marty, do we have any public comment on this item?
Yes, Mr. Chair, Rob is here to speak.
Please.
You know, I waited a while to say this. Just as I got done thanking you guys had the third comment, right, from the consent calendar, and then you guys heard a presentation, hence he pulled it, and then I didn't get to comment on it. So I retract my thank you, and we'll get back to reality, right, of when I get dissed right in front of my thank you. This kind of goes into the San Diego 350 stuff, though, because you guys are funding division. I mean, go look on their social media. You guys are funding them to hate Donald Trump, call him a fascist, throw all these hate protests, right? This is what you guys want to be known for, is funding that group that pushes the messages. I'm sure some of those other groups aren't as nasty with some of their advertising, but I don't think any of you guys are looking at the same advertising I am. If you guys are giving, how much was it? 80,000 to San Diego 350? I mean, like I said, I'm all for being reasonable with people, and you guys wouldn't fund a hate group on the other side, yet you'll fund that hate group, right? Okay. You know, the funny thing about all this, we're going to help the poor, and right, is that, do you think they own their homes? So how many of those landlords are going to get approved to help the poor people, right? So when you talk about barriers, like, you know exactly what the barriers are, right? How that manor that we just showed, it looked just renovated. And then we're going to go through and retrofit a just renovated place according to the pictures. Okay. How many of the low income housings that are being built right now are already retrofitted? Right. And then you guys want to put together a presentation that says per unit, it costs $25,000. So for the 1,400 that we're trying to help over 4 years, right? Now you're going to invest $25,000 into the billionaires' real estate funds. I mean, come on. Like I said, you got to be smarter than this. I mean, I'm poor. Do you think I own my home? No. So it's not going to me. It's going to the person I pay the rent to, right? You know, I'm trying to be reasonable. Like I said, I don't think anything I'm pointing out you guys don't already know. It's just when I hear about all the money, right, going to pay for marketing instead of going to help people, I just wonder where the priorities are on helping people compared to like paying people to do things that were supposed to be to help. It's like the homeless industrial complex, right? You guys just want to be the power company.
I will now turn it over to the CAC members for comments and questions. Chair Russ.
Thank you. That was very informative. Can I ask, or and you may not know the answer, why didn't we have any allocation to support mobile homes?
Could you speak up just again?
I asked if, Marty, can you take it back a couple slides? Where it was the breakdown, we didn't have any mobile homes in our region. I was just curious why.
Yeah, that's a good question, and I will have to get back to you in terms of why we didn't have any. That is to say, those are targets, so that doesn't necessarily preclude us from doing work in mobile homes. And so that's actually one of the areas that I want to focus on, is making sure that we're reaching out to areas in mobile home parks to make sure that that is doing, because I want to exceed the targets that we've been set out. But yes, I will double check and get back to you.
Thank you.
Member Vasilakis.
Thank you for the presentation. That was very, very informative. I was wondering, in terms of the permitting component with the city of San Diego, like, do you feel like they're building really good muscle memory in terms of being able to process these types of requests? Like, is the relationship between the city and community power and the equitable and decarbonization program like coming to like a really good place?
Yes. So I would say yes, because when they started this process, there was a lot of back and forth, and for transparency, it took 6 months, about 6 months for them to get through the permitting process on the heat pump water heaters. And so we've been learning a lot through this process. And the really nice thing is that the team that is implementing the program, ICF, is also the team that's going to be implementing the San Diego Regional Energy Network single family home as well. And so we're already in conversations with each other about lessons learned and how do we utilize some of the resources that the REN has, the Regional Energy Network has, to support further education on permitting and some of these other challenges that are being identified.
Thank you. Secretary Sumner.
Thank you for the presentation. Very, very good. So some of this, I just want to piggyback on that last line of questioning, which is, is any of this going to be sort of documented, in order to improve the permitting process going forward? Because, I've had a lot of experience dealing with permitting, and sometimes, when staff turns over, those are lost gains. So is there a way, are you planning on trying to lock in some of these efficiency gains, with the city?
Yeah, definitely. I will say that our role at San Diego is very limited in terms of what we can do with the permitting, but I love to bug LA County and make sure that they're, doing these kinds of documentations and those pieces with the team. And then it also helps that those lessons learned and everything is being documented as well by the REN team to make sure that that program is streamlined as well as possible, and making sure that we're giving those educational resources to the permitting staff at the counter so that it doesn't need to go above them or anything of that sort.
That's fantastic. Even if it could be just documented as like a best practice that can be reused, taking the extra step to write it down when you're done is so incredibly valuable, and all that hard work, you should, hopefully be able to continue to leverage that. Yeah. Thank you.
Member Harris.
Yes. I just wanted to clarify, there was a comment by the public that the complex in the picture was newer looking, and in fact, it was the McKinney Manor was completed in 2005, 21 years ago. Probably in need of.
Mr. Chair.
Well, seeing no other comments, I'll just end by saying thank you, Nelson. That was, sorry, Member Emerson.
So let me just clarify. So the 1.4 million for outreach is for the San Diego area, San Diego Community Power?
Correct.
We're not doing LA at the same time, just our area?
Just us,
So but that's the focus of that, is to get people signed up. Correct. Educate and get them signed up for over the 5-year program.
Correct.
So the 1.4 is not for 1 year, it's for 5 years.
Correct.
It's spread out over that time.
Yes.
And they'll have workshops in the community, or you're still evolving how you're going to put that into effect, the outreach? Is it in your own staff, or you're hiring vendors or firms to go out there and do the outreach?
Yeah, so it's going to be a combination. us our staff, meaning me and my colleague Megan Phelps, who unfortunately couldn't make it today, but she's been instrumental throughout this process in setting it up. So we are going to be helping with doing the type of outreach, but also we partnered with the community-based organizations. And so they're going to be the ones that are going to be in the community, actually giving out the outreach, giving out materials, doing presentations. That does include workshops. And so at this initial phase, right, it's going to be a lot of focus on going to existing areas or existing presentations. But as we evolve, because it's, again, multi-year, it will include hosting workshops that where residents who have learned about this, know what the program is, can come in and potentially sign up on the spot or complete applications, right? There's the ideas that our CBO partners have brought to us have been really exciting, and they'll be the ones who do this.
Okay, so, and I would encourage that they do outreach to city council, at least do a presentation of how the program works and how the communities could benefit from it. So for a minute, over 5 years, getting the people signed up, who approves how the money is going to be sent? That goes back to LA, and they're the headquarters of this program?
Correct, yeah.
Right. Okay, and the money has been, certain amount has been allocated for each region and area. Okay. And yeah, I live in National City, and there's also a lot of renters, maybe over 60%, and the 40% are owners. So that is, I think, a challenge. How do you, and I think there's a way for everybody to benefit, especially the people living in, even if they're renting. How do you envision addressing some of that? And is there more focus for the renters, more focus for owners, and if it's focused for owners, then I mean, for renters, how does that help the renter?
Yeah, it's a
renters. I mean, did I answer?
Yes.
State my question clearly.
Yes.
Sorry.
Yeah, so that's part of the guidelines that the Energy Commission kind of considered when they started this whole process of like, what does equitable building decarbonization mean? And so renters are eligible for this program. For the program, we do need the sign off of the landlord because we can't make upgrades without their approval. But renters are eligible for this program, and there's particular stipulations in the participation of the program that say that like the landlord can't increase rent past a certain point for 3 years after these upgrades have been done, that the landlord cannot kick the resident out after the upgrades have been done. So tenant protections to ensure that we get the tenants or renters in this process.
So try to get some immediate benefit for the renters as well.
Yes, correct.
Thank you. That's good to know. Thank you.
Again, Nelson, thank you so much for the presentation. I just wanted to close off by saying that this is arguably one of the most thoughtful CBO integration programs that I've ever seen, having had a chance to work with many of these organizations and feel strongly just the component of working with trusted messengers, creating a thoughtful grant process, as well as a reporting guideline. Just top to bottom, this looks fantastic. So thank you so much for all of your hard work. This is a receive and file item, and no further action is needed. Thank you so much for your presentation.
Thank you so much,
Chair. We will now move on to item 12, an update on the 2026 community power rates. I will turn it over to Aaron Liu, Rates and Strategy Manager, to provide this presentation.
Good evening, everybody. One last item. Just hang on. My name is Aaron. I'm the Rates and Strategy Manager at Community Power. And this is really a recap of our May 1st, 2026 rate change. We want to make sure everyone here is up to date on any rate actions that the organization takes. So in terms of the timeline, taking us back, this is a partner presentation to what we brought before this committee in the spring. Okay, so back all the way to January 1st, 2026, Community Power and SDG&E implemented new rates, and then SDG&E filed a advice letter in March to implement their April 1st, 2026 rate change. And through our thorough review and due diligence, we found errors in their filing. SDG acknowledged those errors, they corrected their rates, and they still implemented their rates on April 1st with almost no time for us to react to that filing. Thus, we had to push out our rates to be effective on May 1st, 2026, thus the delay. Because previously we planned to have our rate change if we needed to make one on April 1st as well, in parallel with SDG&Es to make sure the customer experience is streamlined. So even though with that delay, just to kind of refresh everyone here in terms of the mechanics of how we set our rates, we reviewed SDG&E's April 1st, 2026 generation, or sometimes we interchangeably call it commodity rates. From there, we assess the PCIA. We talked about that extensively today, the indifference adjustment. And those, as well as the generation rates, they differ by customer class. They also differ by vintage year. And then we also take out the franchise fee. And from that, we apply for this rate change, our discount, and then we come up with our May 1st, 2026 community power rates. And going back to kind of the vintaging of the indifference charge, why it's important is because we want to make sure all of our customers are having and experience the same set of rates in terms of equity. We do have to have 3 sets of rates because we have 3 sets of vintages. Vintages are signed to customers when they depart SDG service and come to our service, and we had 3 enrollment periods, thus 3 vintages. And since if you take a look at the table at the corner right, we start with equal SDG generation commodity rates. We subtract different vintage PCIA. We subtract the same franchise fee. We come out with 3 different sets of community power rates. And in order to equalize that, we have to do some math to ensure that the 3 sets of rates that we are offering our customers are equal. So it's important, and we always do this in terms of the methodology to make sure it's a balanced approach for all our customers. The April 1st SDG rate change really is driven by what came out of the general rate case phase 2 that closed last year, a little bit different from the usual rate change that SDG takes in the beginning of the year. This one is really, again, to kind of implement what their requests were that came out of the second phase of the general rate case, which was really for revenue design. The last rate case was a few years ago, so some of these items did really need updates. One of them here is that SDG&E did implement on 4/1 a new medium commercial customer class. They carved out some of the tariffs from the small commercial customer class and then the existing medium and large commercial customer class to create this new medium commercial customer class to make sure the cost of service for serving that class is really appropriate. Second, a lot of this rate change was also driven by revenue allocation updates. So SDG&E usually in their general rate case, they update how revenue is allocated to different customer classes in order to make sure the cost of service of serving those customer classes are appropriate. So that was an update here that tweaked the SDG generation and PCI rates a little bit here. And then the last that came into effect on April 1st, we talked about before was the time of use super off-peak extension or expansion. So now 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. is a super off-peak period throughout the whole year. Here, another just reminder in terms of the rate development policy objectives adopted by the board. These are really the core tenets. Going back here, customer affordability is probably top of mind is one of the pieces here, along with everything else. So we take this multifaceted and as balanced as of approach possible to every time when we adjust our rates. Highlights on our rate adjustment. The good news is that we wanted to adjust these rates to react to SDG&E's April 1st rate adjustment to really continue and sustain our deepest discount of compared to SDG&E's default generation rates are 4% discount for power on product and 10% discount for power based product. We want to make sure we're maintaining these discounts and maximizing the affordability for our customers. And then net revenue, operating expenses, and other key metrics on the financial side are up here as well. And then this approach checks all three boxes of focusing really on customer affordability, make sure that we're maintaining reserves to react to any risks that was talked about in the earlier presentation, as well as maintain credit rating metrics to ensure that there's been sustainability for the organization. The last few slides, they are all pretty much the same, just for different customer classes. I'll take a little bit more time on this one, just to really show a comparison of a illustrated bill for a residential customer in terms of the different rate components, as well as the different products that Community Power offers. Our power base, most affordable product, power on default product, and our 100% renewable product, Power 100, compared to SDG&E's default product, as well as the differences in terms of percent savings. Due to some rounding, here it should be 10% for power base and then 4% for power on. Pretty much the savings are consistent for small commercial, medium commercial, large commercial and industrial. The numbers, of course, go up since large C&I have larger bills. So to just cap off and conclude my presentation, it is a objective, and we've targeted to continue to offer that deep discount that we started offering at the beginning of the year. We want to sustain that to maximize customer affordability for the 5/1/2026 rate change. One other thing I want to call out is that under all of our products, the renewable portfolio percentage is higher than SDG&E's default product. And of course, this rate adjustment still maintains our current reserve levels to work towards our target, satisfies our credit obligations, and then prepare for any potential market fluctuations in the future. So that concludes my presentation. Thank you.
Aaron, thank you so much for that presentation. Mari, do we have any public comment on this item?
We do not, Mr. Chair.
I will now turn it over to the CAC members for comments and questions. Member Emerson.
Good evening. Thanks for that and your hard work on getting the rates very reasonable for our customers. I noticed, and I had heard this before, that it used to be from 10 to 2 p.m. was, and in March and April, because there's a lot of sunshine and not a lot of air conditioning demand, that it was a cheaper rates. And now I see it's going full year.
That's right.
Okay, so two-part question: why, and are we getting the word out to people so they know they can benefit from that?
Yes, to both. Well, the first one is to make it consistent across the state. So the other utilities have had this super off-peak period for the whole year for a few years now.
Other
SDG&E was the last, so they want to make sure that I don't know. Probably a better question for SDG&E.
I was wondering
But-
why. But
Right. Right, but they finally made it consistent. So now across the state, you have that 10 to 2 super off-peak period.
Is that because there's more solar now? Is that
Yes,
throughout the year and there's more energy storage? Is that part of the reason?
that's exactly right. To
Okay.
react to grid conditions.
Because I know some people are still charging at night because they think it's cheaper. And they don't know that it might be cheap, just as cheap from 10 to 2. So are we getting the word out, or how are we getting the word out?
Yes, so for the second part, we are getting the word out. So the public affairs team, as well as our customer operations team, we've reached out to customers. We have campaigns. We have a dedicated page on our website. So we continue to make sure the communications are going out to the customers and strategically targeted.
Okay. Well, I will start spreading the word myself. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Any other comments or questions? Seeing none, thank you again, Aaron, for your presentation. This is a receive and file item and no further action is needed. Thank you. We will now move on to our standing items. As a reminder, the CAC may suggest agenda items for a board of directors meeting agenda by communicating with the CAC chair, myself, and designated CP community power staff before and or after a regular CAC meeting. If suggested at this time, there shall be no discussion or action by the CAC unless the item has been included on the CAC agenda. Do any of our CAC members have recommendations on potential items for our board of directors? Seeing no recommendations, let's move on to committee member announcements. Do any of our CAC members have items they'd like to share today? Please, want to practice really quickly. Member Leanne?
Yes, that's great. Thank you. So first, I'd like to thank Community Power sponsored the Cyclovia event at Encinitas, the bike event last month. And this weekend is the Echo Fest event that Community Power is also sponsoring. So I want to thank Community Power on behalf of Encinitas. And the event is from 10 to 4, no, noon to 4. Sunday at the Encinitas Community Park. So if you happen to want to come up to Encinitas and see a sustainability fair, they do it well. Thank you.
Thank you. And please, Member Sclafani.
Very good, thank you. So I would just like to announce in representing the city of Chula Vista that I would welcome the chance to meet with any members of the public who are here in person or remote to talk more about some of the programs and the operations of Community Power and some of the sort of state of California regulatory peculiarities that have, I don't know if I'd say consequences, but certain effects on the ground that are obscured. And so if that's of any interest, I'd be happy to sit down and talk at any length. So thank you.
Thank you. Vice Chair Ross.
I just want to thank Rob from the public to letting us know about that link. I didn't know that, so thank you. And I wanted to welcome Chair Montero Adams as our new chair, and Sean as our secretary. I promise it's not as scary, as intimidating as I thought it was when I got nominated. And just thank you again to David for leading us this last year. Thank you.
Please, Member Emerson.
Well, as usual, I have information about electric vehicles, and if anybody is interested, I can share this with you after the meeting with email. I have a
Can you turn on your mic, please? Thank you.
look dark from this angle. Yep. Okay, start again. As usual, I have information on electric vehicles. I have, and if anybody wants, I can give them copies of this later on. I have the top EV sold in the first quarter of 2026 with some surprising increases. Because you hear negative things, that things are on the downcrease. So I have that list, and the top 1 through 10. It doesn't mean this is the only ones you can buy. There's other ones that might fit your needs. And also I have a YouTube and a list of the 9 small and most affordable EVs. Because sometimes people think the EVs are too expensive. There are more options nowadays. So just FYI. And I have that information available for anybody interested. Thank you.
Thank you. Any final comments?
Yeah, I just want to say thank you to.
As long as we're doing thank yous, I really have to thank CO for all her support for this committee and for my work as chair. It really has made a difference. Thank you.
All right, well,
Goodbye.
a little goodbye, and I'll kind of give us a final goodbye, which is to say that on behalf of this committee, I wanted to thank some of our members who are terming out, members Harris, Vasilakis, Hammond, and Emerson, for having successfully served 2 full terms of the CAC. A little round of applause. Congratulations. Well, this means that this will be their last meeting in a member capacity. I truly hope to hear your voices in public comment in the coming years and welcome it. A few quick reminders about a couple of events. Members of this committee are invited to join the Community Power at the following events: the San Diego Pride Parade on Saturday, July 18th, and the San Diego Padres game on Monday, August 10th, of which I believe you've received emails with more information on both of those events. That brings us to the end of our agenda. I appreciate everyone's participation today during a particularly long meeting. We are adjourned until our next regularly scheduled meeting on August 13th, 2026 at 5:30 p.m. at the Port of San Diego. Thank you all so much.
Thank you.